week one of the fantasy football season, and here's the top 12 kickers. I'm ranking this week number one, Justin Tucker of the Baltimore Ravens. So this week, it's a matchup where I think it's going to be a struggle a little bit between the two offenses. First game of the season, get the rust off a little bit. Two pretty solid defenses in Baltimore and Kansas City going at it. And Justin Tucker, we know he's the best kicker of all times by metrics and statistics. And I know he's struggled a little bit with some 50-yarders last season. But this week at Arrowhead, Thursday Night Football, to kick off the season, I think Tucker goes out there and has a good game. Number two, Brandon Aubrey of the Dallas Cowboys. So Brandon Aubrey came out of nowhere last season as a rookie for the Dallas Cowboys, as the former soccer player, and he's got a big boot. We saw him preseason kicking over 65 yards in that ball game. And this week at the Dog Pound at Cleveland, where this Cleveland defense is good, I think it's going to be a grinded out type of ball game where this Cowboy offense, I don't see them scoring 30 points in this one, where they're going to have to settle for some field goals. So like I said, Brandon Aubrey's got a big boot. Last season, it took him towards the end of the season before he missed his first field goal. And this week, I like him as a good option. Number three, Evan McPherson of the Cincinnati Bengals. Evan McPherson, he really fell down late in fantasy drafts, where he's one of the bigger boots in all pro football is Evan McPherson. He's on a solid offense. And this week, he's got a great matchup versus the New England Patriots, where their defense has been bend but don't break at times, where they give up a lot of field goals to field goal kickers over the last couple seasons. So this week, I think McPherson's going to get opportunities. Jamar Chase, time of recording this, we still don't know if he's going to play week one or not, where it could be a little bit struggle down there in the red zone to punch it in for Cincinnati. But either way, I think Evan McPherson has a good ball game. Number four, Harrison Butker of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Harrison Butker signing a contract extension. Good matchup this week versus Baltimore, where they are bend but don't break type of defense, where I could see this game in the low 20s, mid 20s between these two teams, where there's two good defenses going at it. Both these teams know each other very well over the last few seasons, where regular season matchups and playoff matchups. And Harrison Butker, he's got a big boot, and he's been a clutch kicker throughout his career for this Kansas City Chief team. So this week, I like him as a good option. Once again, number five, Kaimi Fairbairn of the Houston Texans. So Fairbairn, he's been a solid kicker the last couple seasons. He got a nice contract extension as well. And this week, a good matchup indoors at the Indianapolis Colts, where their defense has definitely been leaky, but in the red zone's been a good unit over the last couple seasons. So a division matchup, we know these teams obviously know each other very well. Fairbairn's got a big boot, where he's on a high-powered offense, loaded this season with C.J. Stroud, Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, where they're going to get opportunities, I believe, is this Houston Texan team, and that always bodes well for a kicker, unless, they go out there and score 5 or 6 touchdowns. But I believe Fairbairn is going to have opportunities. Number 6, Tyler Bass of the Buffalo Bills. So Tyler Bass, another kicker who fell down in the rankings in fantasy drafts, where he's still a kicker that could kick it 50+. He's on a high-powered offense with one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Josh Allen. I know they lost some weapons in the offseason. Stephon Diggs, they traded to Houston. Gabe Davis signed away by this Jacksonville Jaguar team. But I still feel like he's going to go out there, Josh Allen, get the job done, and put his team in the red zone and position to score. So this week, in a potential shootout in week one versus the Arizona Cardinals, I think Tyler Bass goes out there and is a good game. Number 7, Young Hoku of the Atlanta Falcons. Young Hoku's been a solid kicker over the last few seasons. And indoors in Atlanta is where his splits are really good indoors, is Young Hoku, where he gets a lot of opportunities, even though this season Atlanta's going to punch the ball into the end zone more with Kirk Cousins at quarterback and not Desmond Ridder or Taylor Heineke. So this week versus a bend but don't break type of defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think the opportunities will be there for Young Hoku. And he's a kicker, like I said, that's been very accurate, and especially at home in Atlanta. Number 8, Jake Elliott of the Philadelphia Eagles. So Jake Elliott, he's been a solid kicker for many seasons for this Philadelphia Eagle team. I know at times kicking that 50+ yarder has been a problem for him. And this week in Brazil versus the Green Bay Packers, I believe it's a potential shootout between these two teams. And he's on a high-powered offense. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley signed from the Giants, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert. So a great offense, no doubt about it, for this Philadelphia Eagle team. And I think Jake Elliott's going to get opportunities. And like I said, a potential shootout in the 30s is a possibility between these two teams. Number 9, Jake Moody of the San Francisco 49ers. So Moody had an up-and-down rookie season last year for this 49er team. And this week, it's a matchup on paper that's tough to score touchdowns on this New York Jet team. Even with an offensive Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Jake Moody's got a good boot. And I think this Jet team, they're going to bend but don't break like we saw a lot over the last couple seasons where the defense holds the opposing offense to field goal attempts. I think Moody will get a few field goal attempts in this one. This is going to be a closer game, I believe, than people think, even though we'll see what Aaron Rodgers could do, obviously, coming off a big injury and versing one of the better defenses, pro football. But I think Moody's going to get his chances, and the Jets are going to stop a little bit this Niner offense from scoring touchdowns. Number 10, Jason Sanders of the Miami Dolphins. And Jason Sanders, he's been a solid kicker for many years with this Dolphin team. Another guy on a high-powered offense, Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert in the backfield. And they're going to get opportunities in a potential shootout with the Jacksonville Jaguars where they got a leaky secondary and give up a lot of points to opposing offenses. So Sanders, he's got a good boot. Obviously, Miami, a great place to kick the football with great weather. And this week, once again, I think Sanders puts in a good performance. Number 11, Greg the Leg Zuerlein of the New York Jets. Greg the Leg's been solid over the last couple seasons after he was struggling with the Rams at the end of his career over there. Dallas Cowboys, it was a mixed bag of results for him. And now with the New York Jets, I think he's found the home as Zuerlein. And this Jet offense, even with Aaron Rodgers back and in a tough matchup at the Niners, I think they're going to have trouble punching the ball into the end zone. And Zuerlein and this Jet team, if they want to keep points on the board, they might have to try a couple 50-plus yarders in this one. Monday Night Football, obviously, this is going to be a big ball game to kick off the season for both teams. And Zuerlein, like I said, he still has the boot. Or Greg the Leg for a reason. And this week, in a matchup where it might favor him, I think he's a top 12 option. And the 12th and final kicker I'm ranking is Jason Myers of the Seattle Seahawks. So Jason Myers, he's been solid over the last few seasons for the Seattle Seahawks team. And this is a Seattle Seahawks team that's had trouble pushing the ball into the end zone once they've been down in the red zone. So last season was a good year for Jason Myers kicking the field goals. This year, I think he's going to be good once again. And this week in a matchup versus the Denver Broncos, where their defense at the second half of the year got better. The offense is out of the end zone at times last season. I know in the beginning of the year last year, Denver gave up 70 points in a ball game to the Dolphins, but their defense has actually improved under Sean Payton. Their record got a little bit better second half. And I think Myers in this one, even on a pretty solid offense with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's going to have to settle for some field goals in this ball game. And with the 12th man, he's been a better kicker throughout his career as Myers at home. Then he's been on the road. So this week, I think he goes out there and has a top 12 performance. So that's the top 12 kickers I'm ranking for week 1 of the fantasy football season.